Welcome back to another episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Jones of Love City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. And today is week 2 of the NFL season. The Dallas Cowboys will face the New York Football Giants at 12 noon today. So I just wanted to come in for a few minutes and give you guys all the last minute news and notes leading up to that game. So this is our first official pregame show of the year. I'm going to try my best to do every week, but of course, just because life sometimes happens, I won't be able to hit every week. But I had to make sure that I joined you guys for the first Sunday game for the Dallas Cowboys. So we got a lot to talk about for you guys who are familiar with the show. I do try to get out of here pretty early just to give you guys a chance to sit down, get your favorite beverage of choice ready, plop in front of your TV for a full day of NFL football starting off with the Dallas Cowboys. So we have just a few segments we're going to touch bases on. We're going to do our injury report that also includes the inactives. We'll do our keys to victory. We'll get game predictions from you guys. We'll also do some bold predictions, and then we'll close it out with some of my fantasy favorites for this week's game, not only inside the Cowboys game, but around the NFL. So we got a lot of content for you guys. This is probably going to be 30 minutes at most. I'm going to definitely try to get out of here sooner since the Cowboys play at 12. So before we get into it, I see those views are growing pretty quick. So thank you guys, everybody who's joining me this morning. Especially appreciate everybody over on X who is joining us today. For you people joining us on X, at some point, I need you guys to go over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and get in these comments so I can get your thoughts on everything that we talk about. Shouts out to the DC4L Facebook group who is joining us this morning also. Thank you guys for joining. And for everybody who's not watching from the DC4L group, you get a chance, go over to Facebook, type in DC4L. It's the largest DC4L group on Facebook. Tens of thousands of people in it. Great prizes, great giveaways, great content, and they keep you up to date with all the news and notes on the Cowboys. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. See, we got Charlie joining us with Establish the Pass. Thank you for joining us this morning, Charlie. We got Special Potion joining us again this morning. Just had some good cereal and getting ready for the Cowboys game. Then we got Marty Vol joining us again. Welcome back, Marty. Cowboys will definitely win this week. I can bank on that as well. I know last week I did pick the Eagles, but this week I'm right over on board with everybody else. It's going to be a big Cowboys game. Got William Wiggins joining us with the sad face with blue. We'll get to that in 1 second, William Wiggins, but thank you for giving us that early update. We got Joe Trachina joining us all the way from Italy. So thank you for joining us, Joe. I know you are not only a regular on this show, you're a regular on probably dozens of Cowboy shows. So as a content creator, I definitely appreciate all your support in not only supporting the Cowboys, but supporting us in trying to give out Cowboys news and notes. We got Kurt Whitmer joining us. Kurt Whitmer, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you joining us this morning. And Gustavo Lopez, Cowboys with the easy W today. Thank you for joining us, Gustavo. All right, guys, so let's go ahead. Kevin Robert Sonk. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but thank you for joining us, Kevin. Let's go ahead and get into it. We'll start off first with our injury report as well as the inactives list. So let's go to the injury report first. The Cowboys have been fairly injury-free going into the season. We do have a couple of key players who started off the season on injury reserve, but we got through week 1 pretty much unscathed. And then we got the bad news that first Perion Winfrey got hurt and was getting put on IR. One of our defensive tackles, one of our major depth pieces. So then we went into Tuesday and we got the devastating news that Deron Bland, our starting nickelback, hurt his ankle/foot, and he's projected to be out a few weeks. He has not been placed on IR yet, so that's definitely a good sign. That means the injury is less than 4 weeks. But we have some very big games coming up over the next couple of weeks. We got another division game this week with the Giants. We got the Bears coming up. Then we got that big game. But we got the Bears, then the big game against the Packers. So even though we got good news that he's not going to be out for an extended period of time, he's definitely missing some very important games. All right, I got my guy Mendoza joining us this morning. Mendoza, thank you for joining us today as well. And then just saw Jeff at church. So Jeff, thank you for scurrying home just like I did, getting in front of your computer and joining me this morning on the Fifth Quarter Podcast. All right, so these are the two major injuries. We're going to talk about the injury report next. I mean, the inactives list next. So leading into the injury report, now we have the inactives. And William Wiggins alluded to this at the beginning of the show. But unfortunately, Jaden Blue, for the second time, has been listed as an inactive player. Of course, Deron Bland is also listed inactive. Shamar James is an inactive player. And then again, for the second time, even though we have an injury to the position, Mozzie Smith is still an inactive player. So for me, Jaden Blue is not that concerning. I mean, he's a 5th round pick, still learning the game. And we're slow playing them, which I think is a good thing. I talked about this last week. I think it still carries over to this week. Javonte Williams had a great game. Don't want to take anything from him, but we still have question marks at that position. So if something happens to Javonte, he's not able to carry the load, he gets injured. If that happens, whoever our backup running back is, that's the guy we have to depend on. And if the team doesn't feel like Jaden Blue is that guy, and it may take 3 to 4 weeks, I think that's well worth the wait to be able to get the best version of him possible. I don't know what the problems are. I mean, he did get hurt before the season started. We don't know if that injury is still lingering. He's a 5th round pick. He didn't play a lot in preseason. He wasn't there in training camp. Maybe he didn't get enough on-field experience in practice to make them feel comfortable giving him on-field experience when the bullets are flying. That's another possibility. There were some reports that he wasn't the greatest classroom guy. That could be it. Because if you can't pass block, you can't get in the game. That's just plain and simple. So that one, again, that doesn't concern me more. I know we want to see him. I know he's our pet cat. But at the end of the day, he is a 5th round pick. So let's not act like 5th round picks always play week 1 or week 2. That's usually not the case. So it's not unusual that Jaden Blue's not playing yet. The one that is unusual is Mozzie Smith. Former 1st round pick, played a lot of preseason snaps. The only guy that's ahead of him is Jay Toia, who's a 6th round pick, I believe. That one's concerning that a 6th round pick is playing over him. He's a healthy scratch for the 2nd week in a row. To be honest, I think they want to get rid of him, but pride won't let them cut him, and nobody else wants to take him. So personally, just looking at everything, I really feel like the Cowboys are actively offering up Mozzie Smith in trades. Nobody's biting. They want to keep him on ice, make sure he doesn't get hurt. So if, God forbid, some other team encounters an injury at the defensive tackle position, we're the first ones they're going to call. And we have a young guy who's a former 1st round pick who has a ton of NFL experience, and he can kind of step in and take the place of whoever gets hurt. That's my personal thoughts of why he's not playing. They want to make sure he doesn't get hurt for when that possible trade can happen. So I know it's unusual for us as Cowboys fans because of his draft status, but I really feel like that's the reason. They don't want to see him get hurt. We see it all the time where guys have been healthy scratches who could contribute, and then that inevitable trade happens. William Wiggins said, not concerning, but we could have played today. Thought James might play. Shamar James probably won't play this year, William Wiggins. I said this in preseason. You got to look at the numbers game. We've got two veteran linebackers, and then we have Leofau, and then Damone Clark has done something in practice that's gained the trust of our coaching staff. That's four linebackers right there, and Leofau is a major special teams contributor. Now, if one of those linebackers were to go down, we would see a lot of James. But until that happens, there's a long pecking order in front of him. And whenever Overshown comes back, more than likely James is going to get cut and they'll move him to the practice squad. So I'm just giving you an early heads up that that's something that you can pay attention to. Gustavo said Miles Sanders messed up last week, but it was a learning experience. He'll be better this game. I agree with that. I don't think a 5-year vet needs a learning experience, but everything else he does well, and he's a veteran, and you really don't want to put a rookie 5th-round pick with limited training camp experience in that situation. I would take a 7th for him too, Charlie. The question is, I don't think anybody's gonna give a 7th for him right now. I really think he's just really burned bridges. And it's not anything off the field. I think it's people can watch the tape and see he's the last guy off the snap every time at a position where you have to hold the line. And I think that's making a lot of teams even pause on bringing him in. Great question, William Wiggins. Who will we see first, Blue or Maffa? I would probably say Blue. I know Maffa's on IR, but we all as Cowboys fans know that's not really IR. So he can miss 4 weeks minimum. I think he probably misses about 6 or 7 weeks, to be honest. So I can see Miles Sanders getting 2 to 3 weeks, and then Jaden Blue getting 1 or 2 weeks. And then we look at how they look, and then the Cowboys probably make a decision where one of those guys gets cut and Maffa gets brought up, because the running back room is full right now. There's no way we can carry 4 running backs and a fullback. There's just no way. So if Maffa comes back this year, there's gonna have to be something that happens. Yeah, just like Charlie said, Jeff said at first he should not have been a 1st-round pick. And Charlie said all of what we see was on tape in college, and they still use the 1st on him. I agree with all that. Okay, let's go back to the injury list really quick. So the 2 big ones were Blue and Mozzie. So we go back to the list. Shamar James is not a surprise. Cornelius and Adeniji. Neither one of those are surprises because of the reports that came out this week about Nathan. Nathan Thomas is really pushing both of our starting tackles for playing time. So we've got 2 starters. We got a key backup who can swing both spots. So that one's really not a concern. Trevor Keegan is going to be an inactive every week this year. So to be honest, kudos to him. He gets a full season, a full accrued season under his belt, and never has to play a game for a rookie who nobody's ever heard of. And we probably won't hear about him in a game this year. All right, so that takes us through all the inactives. So now let's move forward to our keys to victory. So I just got a couple of thoughts on some keys that the team should look into to win in this game. Quick rundown about the Giants. We almost got some good news today. Wandale Robinson, their star slot wide receiver, is dealing with an injury. There was a chance that he would be inactive, but he is active. But he's dealing with an ankle injury, and with Deron Bland missing, if you guys watched the show Wednesday, I told you one of my biggest concerns was Wandale Robinson taking advantage of all of our inexperienced DBs that he'll be facing. Well, so hopefully that ankle injury kind of slows him down a little bit today. So number one, we have to protect the edges on offense. Our tackles have been doing well, but the Giants have 3 first-round picks at defensive end with Abdul Carter, Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. So those guys are super active. Brian Burns had 2 sacks last week. They are pretty much the face and identity of the Giants defense right now. So we need our tackles to protect those edges. The other reason I say that is because the Giants just lost their middle linebacker, and their other defensive tackle is inactive this week. So they have some weaknesses in that interior, even though Dexter Lawrence is a great defensive tackle. We have to be able to take advantage of Dak stepping up in the pocket and having time, as well as running the ball up the middle. So in order to do that, we need those edges. We need those tackles to protect the edge. So yeah, utilize the draws and the screens for sure, Jeff, because they have a lot of holes in the middle. And what I just said about those ends, that also helps us because they have pass rushing ends. They're all pass rush first. So when you got guys like that, they're going to cheat and try to go outside more often than not. And that opens up those draw plays even more when you got a backup D tackle, backup middle linebacker in the end who's supposed to be containing is trying to over pursue wide on the tackle. So definitely pay attention to those draw plays today. Great point, Jeff. Number 2, limit quarterback scrambles. Now I know Russell Wilson has been getting dogged in the media all week, but last week Jalen Hurts hurt us quite a bit with his quarterback scrambles. He had 65 yards, I believe. Russell Wilson had over 40 yards scrambling last week as well. So we can't allow him to extend plays or get any touchdowns with his legs. We have to limit his quarterback scrambles and make him beat us in the pocket. Number 3, we have to attack their offensive tackles. Their former first-round pick, Andrew Thomas, is out this week again. So they have backup tackle James Hudson, who will be playing on the left side. And then on the right side, they have a low-ranked right tackle. I can't think of how to pronounce his name. Lumen Newer, I believe, is his name. But neither one of these guys are highly ranked. And our ends can definitely take advantage. We were second in pressures last week. The guys brought pressure. They just couldn't get home. The Eagles' left tackle is probably the best in the league. Their right tackle is probably top 5. We're playing against much lesser talent. So we definitely have to attack those edges against the Giants. Our linebackers are healthy. Our defensive tackles are good. We won't have the same issues that the Giants will have against us in terms of being able to protect the middle of the line. So if we attack those tackles, make Russ step up, then we have our defensive tackles who are more than capable of getting sacks. So if we take care of the ends and we attack those tackles, I think the sacks will come in waves. So we definitely got to make sure that we go and attack with that. All right. Thomas was trash anyway. That's true. But if he was trash, imagine how bad his backup is. All right, guys, we are at 21 minutes. We've just gone through keys to victory. So now let's get those game predictions in the comments. So everybody who's watching right now, put your game predictions in the comments. What you think the score will be. I know a couple of you guys put them in the comments earlier, but if you could put them in the comments again right now, just so I can be able to go back and track later and see who got the closest. So yeah, get in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Okay, we got special person potion 30-12. We got Charlie with a closer game 27-20. So yeah, everybody get in the comments. Let me know what your game predictions are. Hold on one second. So I do have a bunch of Dallas Cowboys lanyards. So whoever gets the closest on the game predictions will receive a Cowboys lanyard. So we'll get these in the mail next week. So put those game predictions in the comments, and whoever wins will win a Dallas Cowboys lanyard. All right, so we got special potion 30-12. Established the pass. Charlie has 27-20. Kurt Whitmer has 35-21 Cowboys. Jeff has 31-10 Cowboys. We got any 40 burgers, anybody? Anybody think we hitting 40 today? So while I wait for more scores to come in, I'll give mine. When I look at this game and I look at my keys to victory, I think all of those are things that we could definitely do. I'm expecting us to get quite a few sacks. Even though we're going to have a lot of backups in the secondary, I do expect to get at least one turnover. Our skill position usually has a really good game against the Giant secondary. So I expect the ball to get spread around quite a bit. I expect minimum 2 passing touchdowns for Dak. I don't know who they go to, but I expect 2 of them. And I expect at least 1 rushing touchdown from Javonte Williams. So that gets us to 21. And then I'll throw in 3 field goals. So that's 20. That's 30 for the Cowboys. In terms of the Giants, I think they do score at least 1 touchdown. I'll probably give them 17. So my score will be 30-17. Kurt Whitmer says too much edge talents on Giants to get a 40 burger. I mean, I think we can run the ball on them effectively. So their edges can be neutralized. And a quarterback's best friend is being able to step up in the pocket with their middle linebacker and they're starting D-tackle out. I think if our tackles can be solid, we have some chances to block those guys, and Dak can step up and create some extra time. So Jeff calling Pickens and Ferguson is the guys who scored the touchdowns. Charlie says one better be Lamb. I got money on it. I got money on it too, Charlie, so I'm right there with you. All right, so it looks like we got quite a few game predictions. I'll make a note of all these, and whoever gets closest will get that lanyard. So thank you everybody who put your game predictions in the comments. Any more game predictions before we move on? Joe had 40-10. So Joe did give us a 40 burger before he left. All right, guys. Kurt Whitmer saying I'm worried about Steele against the edge rushers. I talked about this all off season. When you look at our ends, our tackles, and you look at how well they played last week, a lot of that came down to the ball getting thrown out quicker. So we don't have any more of the Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy 5 seconds plays for passing concepts. Everything now looks like it's been 2 to 3 seconds. So if you shave 2 seconds off of how long a tackle has to block, they're going to look much better. And Steele is a strong physical tackle with long arms. they're going to have to beat him off the snap to be able to create pressure. Now, that can definitely happen, but for Steele, I think he should be good because of how they're getting the ball out quick. We're doing a lot of 21 personnel, which means we have two tight ends on the field at one time. So both of our tackles are getting a little bit of a chip before those tight ends go out into their routes. All of that stuff to me leads into some very high pass blocking grades for our tackles. So while I am concerned because these guys are pass rush specialists, I think our scheme and our concepts are going to help them look a lot better than they are the entire season. Special Potion asked the question: are you going to do a post game show as well? I'm leaning towards no, just because I have a busy day today. Actually, I have to leave out of here. Thank you, Charlie. I said 21 personnel. It is 12 personnel. Well, we're doing 21 personnel too, though, Charlie, because we are putting that fullback in the backfield quite a bit. So for you guys that don't know, 12 personnel means 2 tight ends, 1 running back. And 21 personnel, which is what I said, means 2 running backs and one tight end. But yeah, I meant 12 personnel, so you are right. So thank you for clearing that up, Charlie. All right, I probably won't do a post-game show today. If I can get back in time and the 3:00 games look kind of boring, I may hop on here for 20 or 30 minutes if it's just a lot of good stuff to talk about. But other than that, you guys will see me this Wednesday at 8:30 Central Standard Time. All right, so it looks like we got all of our game predictions. Let's go to our next segment, which is called bold predictions. So for bold predictions, I need you guys to give me your boldest take on a stat that you think could happen today. I'll give you my bold prediction, for example. So last week we only had 1 sack. I'm expecting 5 sacks today, 5 sacks minimum. That is my bold prediction for this week's game. So let me know if you guys have any bold predictions for this week's game. We're at 11:43. I'm still going to try to get out of here by 11:50. So get in the comments if you got any bold predictions about the offense. You think George Pickens is going to go crazy today? Special Potion with the Kenny Clark interception. That's definitely a bold prediction. You think CeeDee Lamb's going to make up for it and go for 200? Jeff says the slot corner gets a pick 6. That's definitely a bold prediction, considering our slot corners are going to be Zion Childress, who's a undrafted rookie, and also how did I forget that guy's name that fast? And I was just looking at it. Our other slot corner is going to be another undrafted player who was on the practice squad last year in Reddy Stewart. And then you're probably going to see some Wanye Thomas fill in at slot as well. So a lot of inexperience at that slot corner, Jeff. So that's definitely a bold prediction from you. All right, we got any other bold predictions before we go to the final segment? Let me know what you guys think. If I had to give another bold prediction, I think Javonte Williams gets 100 yards today. Again, the Giants defensive tackles out. The Giants middle linebackers out. Their linebacking core has not been good to begin with, and now you lose your best linebacker. And the strength of our offensive line is guard, center, guard. Javonte Williams is a very physical runner. I can definitely see a scenario where he hits 100 yards rushing today. So that's 2 bold predictions for you guys. 5 sacks for the defense, 100 yards rushing and a touchdown for Javonte Williams. All right, it doesn't look like we have any other bold predictions coming through. So let's go ahead to our last segment, which is fantasy favorites. So for any of you guys who play fantasy football, or if you are a sports gambler like myself, I try to give you guys a couple of tips on some players that I really like, some player props that I really think have a chance of hitting today. So I'll start first. Shane Odom, thank you for joining. Jake Ferguson has 2 touchdowns and 60 receiving yards. Cowboys tight ends have usually had a really good day against the Giants historically. So that one could definitely happen, but it's definitely a bold prediction. So thank you, Shane Odom. All right, so I'll go Cowboys game first. Again, my bold predictions are my fantasy favorites. I think Javonte Williams has a chance to get at least 60 yards in the touchdown today and probably 2 catches. So 60 yards, touchdown, 2 catches. That'll give you 14 points for Javonte Williams, which will probably put you top 15, top 10, top 15. So I think his line in terms of rushing is probably 47. I can check it really quick, but I'm sure his line is pretty low. So if you want to bet a over on a player, I think Javonte Williams over whatever his line is a pretty good bet because again, I think he's gonna get at least 60 yards rushing. His line is 51. So it was 47 yesterday. So I guess Vegas is right there with me. They think he's gonna get more. Another fantasy favorite I like, obviously the Cowboys defense. I think they hold the Giants to under 20. I think they get at least 3 sacks. And I feel like there's going to be a turnover in there as well. So I really like them as a fantasy favorite. I think Lamb is going to have a bounce back game. He normally torments the Giants secondary. He had several big drops last week. I think he's going to make 1 or 2 splash plays. I think George Pickens is a safe play as well. I can see him getting 5 catches, 50 yards. So that'll be a nice 10-point game for him as well. Now, I don't really see any fantasy favorites for the Giants except for Wan'Dale Robinson. I could see a situation where Wan'Dale Robinson gets 6 catches for 50, 55 yards. That'll get you a good 11 points from a wide receiver in this game. So Wan'Dale Robinson is the only fantasy favorite I like in this game. Malik Neighbors could become a fantasy favorite depending on how much Trayvon Diggs plays. Jeff has a fantasy favorite as the Giants kicker. If they can get in field goal range, he could definitely be a fantasy favorite. So that's a good one as well, Jeff. Outside of the Cowboys game, my first fantasy favorite is Hollywood Brown for the Chiefs. The Chiefs played the Eagles today. CeeDee Lamb tormented the Eagles secondary last week. Hollywood Brown can do the exact same thing. He had 10 catches last week. He's going to get a ton of targets this week because Xavier Worthy is out. Rashee Rice is still suspended. They're going to have to score to keep up with the Eagles. So I think Hollywood Brown is going to get a lot of opportunities. I could see him getting 7 catches, 90 yards, maybe a touchdown. I doubt it, but maybe. So I really like him a lot today. Travis Etienne with the Jaguars. I really like him today. Had a breakout game last week. Liam Cohen's the new head coach. He loves using shifty dual threat running backs. If you look at how he used Bucky Irvin and Rashad White in Tampa Bay, I think ATN is a faster version of both of them. So I think ATN just continues to get continues to get used more and more. He continues to get unleashed more and more. They just traded Tank Bigsby, so it's 100% his backfield right now. And I think today is his second coming out party. So I'm expecting a big game from him. I'm huge on rivalry weeks. DK Metcalf gets the Seattle Seahawks this week. We know Aaron Rodgers is one of the most petty quarterbacks in the league. I think he's going to make a purpose to make sure DK gets to throw the middle finger up to that organization for trading him. So I'm expecting DK Metcalf just off of the rivalry game aspect to have at least 4 catches, at least 50 yards, and definitely a touchdown. And then my last fantasy favorite is Jerry Jeudy for the Cleveland Browns. Jair Alexander was just ruled as out today. Jeudy has a tendency to just torch the Ravens since he's been in Cleveland. Um, he's playing against a lesser cornerback, and he's going to get targeted a lot because this is going to probably be a blowout game. So he's going to get a lot of opportunities for hitch routes, comebacks, out routes, slants. So I can see him having a seven catch game for however many yards that gets him. So those are my 4 fantasy favorites outside the Cowboys game: Hollywood Brown, ATN, DK Metcalf, Jerry Jeudy. All right, so that's all I got for today. If they don't hit, don't hold it against me. If they do, I'll put my Cash App up if you guys want to give me a thank you. But appreciate you guys joining us. Those views stay steady all show. So again, shouts out to everybody on X. Thank you for joining us for this show. Also, thank you everybody joining me from Bluff City Cowboys as well as the DC4L group. Probably won't have a pregame show or a post-game show after what should be a Cowboys victory, but you can always join me every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Standard Time for the Fifth Quarter Podcast. We will be celebrating a Victory Wednesday this week, and we'll be looking ahead to our next opponent. So make sure, if you guys haven't locked in, that you join me again this Wednesday. Thank you guys for watching. It's 11:53. Hope you guys enjoy a full slate of Dallas Cowboys and NFL football. Thank you guys for joining me for my first pregame show. I'll see you guys soon. And as we always end this, let's go Cowboys. You guys have a good day.